welcome to my channel. My name is Martine, and if you are new here, I do videos on Vedic astrology mainly, but also with some tropical insights, and I focus on both relationship and natal astrology. And if you like this video and you would like to see more content from me, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel. Also consider clicking the notifications bell if you want to see when I will post a new video. Also, if you are interested in a private reading, I do readings in astrology on a variety of topics ranging from relationship readings to career to transits for 2-3 years, or solar return charts or predictions for 1 year, etc. You are free to email me at the email address that I will leave in the video description, and I can send you a pricing list and reading options and any other details that you might require. Also, I want to mention that I have started membership options on this channel, and the short of it, just to give you the short perks that you will get if you choose to join the membership section, you will get 1 extra video per month for each membership stage or tier. So for the first tier, you will get 1 extra video per month. For the second tier, you will get 2 extra videos per month, so you will have access to level 1 and level 2 videos. And for level 3 or third tier, you will get 3 extra videos per month. The level 1 and level 3 videos are going to be on a variety of topics, so basically anything related to astrology, but it will be content that is not shown on my regular usual videos, right? So this is members only exclusive content, and it can range from, tips and tricks on how to read a horoscope to, I haven't done this yet, but I plan on doing maybe members only astrological synastry for famous couples, for instance, or the analysis of famous people's horoscopes, but then I can also get into divisional charts, etc., etc. So all kinds of things. The level 1 or second tier of membership options is especially related to synastry astrology topics, meaning relationship-oriented astrology. So this could be things like how to discover which kind of partner archetype is right for you according to your horoscope, or it could be, again, different characteristics, whether you're going to have a good marriage according to your horoscope or a less than stellar marriage. But you can find more concrete examples in the lists that you will find in the video description, because I have added the playlists where you can already see all the videos that I have posted in each members section. So yeah, you can see what videos you will have access to from the ones that I have already done. But I will continue to post, like I said, 1 extra video per month for each level of membership. And in addition to that, in the members only section, you will have access to members only polls, and you will also have priority when it comes to getting your comments replied to on my channel. And you will also have stickers that basically show up next to your username that show that you are a member, and a couple of exclusive emojis. All right, so that's pretty much all the perks that you can have as a member on my channel. If you're curious, you can check the video description for more details as well, or you can click the join button under any of my videos to also see the prices, because the prices will be shown in your local currency. All right, in addition to the members only section, I also have a tarot channel, and I post there semi-regularly, and I will be linking the tarot channel in the video description as well as in the pinned comment. It's called Martine's Tarot. So if you are curious about tarot, if you're into it, maybe check out my channel, maybe subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening to this intro. And now I'm going to get straight into today's topic. So hello and welcome to another video from me. Today's going to be about the 8th house lord. Today's video is going to be about the 8th house lord through the rest of the houses. And I also have considered doing this in a 2-part video, same as I did with the Lord of the 12th House through houses. So I think I'm going to be focusing mainly on the negative aspects in this particular video. Although, I think there aren't necessarily going to be like super nasty negative effects of these lords. Unless the rest of the chart is suggesting this. But I'm still going to be mostly focusing on the more negative, and then I'm going to do a separate video about the more positive aspects of having this lord through houses. So before I get into the actual interpretations for each house, the lord of the 8th house through each house, I want to mention a few things, like the fact that the 8th house generally is seen as a pretty negative house. And in Vedic astrology, it is called... I'm not even 100% sure what the name is. I think it's Maraka house, but I'm not 100% sure. It's, it actually comes in several categories, but it's one of the more negative houses, together with the 12th house and the 6th house. These are usually challenging houses, and wherever the lord of this house falls, it tends to show more challenging effects. But a large portion of how bad it's going to be or how good it's going to be depends on the actual lord and the dignity of the lord, by sign, by nakshatra, what other planets are with it or aspecting it, etc., etc. What planets are also maybe sitting in the house where the lord of the 8th house is falling, so on and so forth. So as usual, basically, you do have to also look at the individual horoscope to get like a full insight, a detailed, accurate insight with respect to how this is going to play out. But I'm still going to give some general vibes and energies that you can expect with this house lord. So if you have the 8th house lord in the 1st house, before I get into it, I just wanted to say that also the 8th house is basically connected to things like death, but not like literal death. Sometimes it's even literal death. But, again, I won't get into that in specific context, but it's mostly connected to the idea of transformation, The 8th house is connected to transformation, and, depending on the situation, transformation can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing, it can be a painful process, it can be a less painful process. Again, this is why you also want to check out the other factors influencing this configuration in the horoscope. But mainly it shows some, experiences that push a person out of balance, push people out of their comfort zone. So it's kind of like being hit by a bus from the side, you know what I mean? Like things that you don't really expect to happen. That's basically 8th house energy. Transformations that are brutal, that, are down to the core, radical changes, whether it's for the better with an ultimate positive result or with an ultimate negative result, So that being said, if you have the 8th house lord in the 1st house, it basically shows that your life path to a large extent is going to go through a lot of ups and downs, because the 1st house, or the ascendant, is basically showing your general life trajectory. So throughout your life, you're going to be met with all kinds of ups and downs. And, it could be like you're going through major transformative experiences. So this could also like create some kind of an atmosphere in life where you feel like there's almost no point in planning anything, because things are always happening to kind of throw you off balance. This can also show that somehow there might be major transformations connected to the physical body. So again, this could mean like, heaven forbid, accidents, things that require surgery. Again, depending on the situation, it could also be like things like cosmetic procedures. But if it's a particularly malefic 8th house lord, and, not in dignity, and it's afflicted and all that, it could very much produce actual accidents to the physical body, especially when these houses or anything involved with them are activated through transits or through dashas. This also makes people see you as a very competitive person, a pretty tough person, This can also make people project on you, especially when it comes to sexuality. People might see you as more sexual than you really are, or somehow they might comment on your sexuality. Although when it comes to like appearances and how people perceive you, I would also look at the Arudha Lagna situation, because that is more closely related to actual perceptions, like people's opinions of you. But in this situation, when you have the 8th house lord in the 1st house, or maybe somehow connected to the 1st house, it can just bring an energy to the person where, people are gonna feel like there's something very intense about them, and they might project that, this person is really sexual or something. Worst case scenario, there might be some objectification going on, but a lot will depend on, again, what else is going on in the horoscope. In any case, you come across as the kind of person that could handle crisis situations, and most likely you also are the kind of person that can handle crisis situations, So you're the kind of person that, people might turn to if there is something that has to be resolved, some delicate issue that involves, time sensitivity and attention to secrets, for instance, like, keeping secrets as well. That's another thing. Like, you could come across as someone who is really secretive with this placement, mysterious, all that. So a bit of a scorpionic energy. And because it falls in the 1st house, which is the house of the physical body and the personality overall, people tend to notice these things, When the lord of the 8th house falls in the 2nd house, in this situation, there could be some kind of a connection between meeting, the way that you meet your spouse. So the way that you meet your spouse could be somehow connected connected to your family's meeting. So like your family could meet with their family first somehow. So your family and your spouse's families could be acquaintances, for instance. This is maybe more specific. Again, you would have to look at what else is going on, but it is one particular interpretation of this placement. Another thing, though, is that the spouse's family can actually bring you an increase in wealth, increase in savings, and also potentially, depending again to a large extent on how positive or negative this house lord is going to be. So if it's really negative, this could show, let's say, the spouse's family does not get along with your family of origin at all. It could show that the spouse's family and, let's say, your joint assets together between you and your spouse could somehow negatively impact your ability to save money, your financial situation, and also your self-esteem. Worst case scenario. There could also be like really a lot of ups and downs when it comes to your ability to save money. And in fact, with this particular placement, it's one of the placements that basically shows it's not a good idea for you to just wait endlessly to save money. And even though technically nowadays everyone gets told that, that they should learn to invest as opposed to save money, with this placement, it's really, it's particularly poignant. Like, you have to learn to invest even when you just have like $100 saved, rather than, keep waiting until you get to 1,000 or more. Because with this placement, because of the ups and downs and fluctuations in income, it's like it often happens that when you save a little bit of money and let's say you get close to the particular target you had, something is going to happen where you're going to be losing all your savings almost overnight, like some accident might happen, heaven forbid, or like some unexpected expense is going to come into your life, And another thing is, this is really specific, but it could be in some cases. There might be facial similarities between your features and your spouse's features. Aside from that, The eighth house falling in the second house can also potentially show accidents connected to the face, the throat, potential health issues, especially sudden or very mysterious issues connected to the face, the throat. So these are things you have to be careful of. This can also show that, let's say on a slightly more positive note, it can show that you are a very convincing speaker and people tend to listen to you, like you have a very commanding voice or manner of speech. So yeah, if you have the Lord of the eighth house in the third house, this one is particularly problematic in the sense that it really creates a lot of a lot of ups and downs, a lot of eighth house energy basically. So you could see a lot of like really sudden changes with respect to third house matters. So that means siblings, neighborhood, communication style, education, even to some extent, entrepreneurial activities, any kind of self-employment. Also could be the arms, the hands, the shoulders, maybe even the lungs. So there could be like accidents connected to this, or there could be things like, again, sudden changes with respect to the neighborhood. For instance, it's like you might find yourself moving around a lot. You might find yourself surrounded by neighbors that are not particularly nice, or you might have a lot of troubles with your neighbors, basically. Also with younger siblings, potentially. Also, there could be problems connected to the speech and the voice, especially the speech. So things like speech impediments. Again, this is especially in the negative expression. So let's say if the eighth house lord is particularly afflicted or debilitated, or both, right? There might be like speech impediments, or sometimes even I wouldn't go as far as to say, mental impediments, like serious ones. I wouldn't know about that. I would have to do more research. But there could be like issues connected to the way of thinking. So being a little bit, let's say, neurodivergent with this placement. Because the third house is also the way that you function on an intellectual level, your manner of thinking and your manner of communicating. So there could be like something unusual about these things. The eighth house lord falling in the fourth house could potentially show ups and downs with respect to your home environment and with respect to vehicles. This is actually one of the placements that tends to make people accident prone. So I will issue a warning here, like if you have this configuration, or if you have any kind of connection between the fourth and the eighth houses, this can really show a higher than average tendency to get into accidents, involving vehicles especially. So you need to be really careful when you drive and all this stuff. It doesn't mean that you have to be like paranoid, but it doesn't hurt to be careful, especially when, again, the eighth or the fourth houses are being activated through transits or through dashas, when it would become more likely that something might happen, if you're inattentive or something. So it can show things like that, like there's an accident proneness involving vehicles. There could also be issues with your home environment. With this placement, there could always be maybe not always, let me not use these like generalizing terms, but there could be like a lot of issues connected to the home that you live in, So problems with plumbing, problems with termites, problems with all kinds of stuff. So like, it's like stuff it might suddenly and unexpectedly happen with respect to your living environment. So either there's like a lot of stuff breaking in your home, or it could even be things like, the landlord suddenly tells you have to vacate within 3 weeks because insert various reasons, something like that, So there could be like a lot of ups and downs connected to this home-based environment. And then there might also be something connected to the mother figure, like the early education. Again, there could be disruption in the early school years. So I would say up until, let's say, pretty much up until the graduation of high school, that's still potentially influenced by the fourth house. So there could be like disruptions there, maybe periods of time when you're not able to go to school for whatever reason, or maybe you have to move schools because of your parents or because of moving or something. And health-wise, there could be potential issues connected to the chest area. So that could even include the breasts, especially in a woman's case, or yeah, anything to do with the chest area or the stomach, you know. So there could be like, for instance, gastric problems or sensitivities, but a large amount of this will depend on what else is going on in the horoscope and how damaged the Lord of the 8th house actually is in the 4th house, you know, in general, like what else is going on with the 4th house, you know, how strong is the Lord of the 4th house, what other planets are influencing the fourth house, etc., etc. But yeah, these are the kinds of problems that you might expect. You might also potentially see things like blood pressure issues, and yeah, or digestive issues, like I said. So these are things you need to be mindful of and be careful not to take unnecessary risks, especially if you already have had issues in these areas. If you see the 8th house Lord falling into the 5th house, so with this placement of 8th and the 5th, this is a pretty good one in some ways, but I'm still going to stick to mainly the negative interpretations because I'm going to leave the good ones for a separate video. So let's look at the worst case scenario here. You could see issues involving the children, really, because the 5th house is the house of children. It's also the house of education, especially higher education up until master's degree, including master's degree. So this could show like sudden disruptions in your education. Like some things might happen where you have to interrupt your educational programs, or you might have let's say health issues or any kind of accident or something that might produce a break in your education. This could be explained by this placement. There's also a tendency here to lose money, especially if you invest. Like, this is actually not a great placement for investments, to be honest, because it's a very risky, it's a risky placement, unless you have like a very positive 8th house Lord that is really strong and dignified, and then it's together with friendly planets and all that, then you might actually see a lot of the positive results. Otherwise, not a good idea. There might be issues with children here. Again, it could even show things like unexpected problems regarding fertility, like even things like miscarriages or problems conceiving. There could also be like, the children somehow could be very unpredictable. Like, they could have, I don't want to say like mood swings because that's very specific, but, you know, they could have, so like intense personalities, intense, ups and downs emotionally. So they could be, a handful. They could be difficult to handle. On the plus side, though, this could also be a placement where you have kids that are extraordinary and might bring you fame and recognition and even more opportunities after childbirth. But I'm going to leave that for the positive sides of the 8th Lord through houses. So this pretty much is it. Like I said, not a good placement for speculative gains. Like investing should be done very carefully. Especially, again, if the Lord is damaged, the Lord of the 8th house is damaged, or the 5th house is particularly damaged. You could be looking at bad investments, losses through bad investments, and things like that. With respect to health, this could be like the digestive system. Again, it could be affected by this placement. A worst case scenario could also be the cardiovascular system. That, you might see issues here, especially if the 8th house Lord is very negative again. When you see the Lord of the 8th house falling into the 6th house, so this is in some ways a very good placement, in other ways not so great, but again, I'm going to focus mainly on the negative because that's what I said for this video. So the potential negativity of this is that you might be defeated in competitions, all right? So if this is a positive thing, you could be gaining from competitions and from enemies. But if the Lord of the 8th house is really damaged, it means that basically your enemies, your competitors can overpower you and can cause a lot of trouble. And if that is the case, it's best for you to just be as humble as possible and just not try to create more altercations than necessary. This again could also potentially show some health issues because the 6th house is the house of health as well. And it's also the house of employment. So very specifically about actually being an employee as opposed to being self-employed. So naturally, when you have the 8th lord in the 6th, this could show ups and downs in employment, like sudden, unexpected losses of job, or there could be power struggles within the workplace with superiors or with coworkers, a lot of unnecessary competition. It could also show health issues that are rather unexpected, especially caused by, let's say, accidents because of the 6th house energy. 6th house is also the house of the bowels. So there might be issues with the intestines here when you have this placement. And this could also show issues connected to pets. You know, like, I don't know, the pets could suddenly get sick or something, or they might cause more trouble than you have expected, or again, it could be like sudden experiences involving pets, like they could suddenly just fall sick out of the blue and you need to take care of them. And yeah, pretty much all this stuff. So again, this is about the negative aspect, so that's what I'm going to say so far. If you have the Lord of the 8th house falling into the 7th house, this one is particularly tricky, you know, because the 7th house is the house of marriage. So again, this could show, first of all, that the spouse is, I was going to say that the spouse is potentially coming from a faraway place. That is a possibility. So the spouse could actually be coming from a different cultural background, but to a large extent, you also have to check other configurations for this. So I wouldn't draw an ultimate conclusion, you know, on whether you are going to have a foreign spouse just based on this placement. But it does tend to show, let's say, higher than average likelihood that there might be a cultural difference between you and your spouse. Like, this person could have a different mother tongue, for instance, than you have. Or they could be coming from a country that has a different official language than your mother tongue. Another thing, though, is with this placement, the in-laws could be particularly nosy. So they could try to get involved in your marriage, in the relationship between you and your spouse, and they can cause trouble like that. So with this placement, it might actually be a good idea to keep some distance from the husband's family of origin. The husband, I mean, I said that as like, you know, like everyone who's watching this is going to have a husband, but you know what I mean, the spouse, all right? So yeah, it could be a good idea to keep some distance because otherwise the family of the spouse might get particularly nosy. And this is, again, especially true when the Lord of the 8th house is damaged, debilitated, or afflicted in some way. Also, the 7th house, to some extent, if it is afflicted or debilitated in some way, could turn out the same way. There might also be financial losses on account of the spouse's family. There could be some kind of losses. So again, worst case scenario. When you see the 8th house lord falling into the 8th house, so this is a pretty strong placement in some ways. Because it shows a great deal of resilience and ability to transform yourself, and it also tends to show good longevity. But let me not dwell on the positive, because I'm going to be talking more about a positive aspects of this in a separate video, like I said. But with respect to the more negative interpretations, having the 8th house lord in the 8th house tends to show that the spouse's family, for instance, the in-laws, are very powerful. So these could be people that have a lot of power, a lot of influence, not just over your spouse's life, but implicitly would also try to control your life by proxy. And it can also show that there are going to be massive amounts of changes in your life, so it could be like a lot of ups and downs, so many that you lose track of them, some of them bigger than others, and so it tends to show a lot of chaos, potentially a lot of pain and a lot of suffering in life. But again, you have to check like more specific configurations to see what is going on exactly in the horoscope. But it can tend to show, a lot of ups and downs and a lot of transformative experiences that are not pleasant. The 8th house lord falling into the 9th house. So the negative impacts of this are the fact that you might see financial losses on account of education, like pretty big ones, either on account of education or on account of traveling, and or on account of your father figure or the family of origin of your spouse. So there could be like a lot of financial losses, financial troubles here because of this. Another thing is that there could be a lot of suffering connected to the father figure. So the father figure could be someone who is just not particularly supportive in the individual's life. So the more debilitated, the more damaged the 8th house lord is, the more likely it is that the relationship with the father is going to be not good. So, and with this aspect, unless you have other configurations that would say otherwise, it's more likely to produce an abusive father figure rather than an absent father figure. And or there could be like a lot of back and forth going on with the father figure throughout the life. So it could be like, like the father figure is going to be present for a few months and then disappear for a few months and so on and so forth. So they could have like an on and off connection, that is not very stable or supportive to the native. There could also be ups and downs or interruptions with respect to education. And similarly, also to the 8th house falling in the 8th house lord, there's this situation of constant ups and downs, like really big ups and downs, because the 9th house is the house of fortune. It's the house of opportunity and luck. So when the 8th house is connected to the 9th house, you could see massive swings in luck, so it's like you could go through periods of time when you feel like you're in an upward movement, like you're just on a winning streak, basically, and you just, keep reaping reward after reward for your actions, and then you could go through another period of time that just seems like no matter what you do, things are not working out, So there could be like a lot of destabilizing of energies with this placement. It's pretty tough, to be honest. It's like, I would say one of the tougher ones, the connection between the 8th and the 9th lord. Another thing is that you have to be careful about who you're trusting as a guru here. Because like you might come across people that portray themselves to be mentors and gurus to you, only to take advantage of you, to try to get your resources, your finances, and not really deliver in any way. Or lead you astray, give you bad advice just to exploit you one way or another. So you need to be really careful with this placement, not to be too naive about who you trust. And that's pretty much it. Another thing, like I mentioned this, especially when it comes to like higher education, you might really acquire debt on account of higher education. So you need to be careful. In some situations, you might get into debt on the account of your father figure or on account of a guru or something. So again, you need to be careful who you trust, like I said. If you have the 8th house lord falling in the 10th house, this is one of those, I have talked about this in a separate video where I talked about fame and also about infamy, quote unquote. So this is one of those placements, like any connection between the 10th and the 8th house lord, that could actually make you infamous in some way. So again, you could see like ups and downs with respect to reputation here, especially when it comes to like your professional reputation at work. So you need to be really careful here because there could be people who try to stab you in the back at the workplace, who try to spread rumors about you because they have a problem with your development and your power. On the plus side, I mean, again, I'm going to be talking more about a plus side in another video, like I said, in the video where I tackle the more positive expressions of these placements. So sticking to the negative here, you mainly have to look out for things like loss of reputation, people spreading rumors about you, people scapegoating you sometimes, triangulating you. So unfortunately, it is one of those placements where you have to be really careful that people don't take advantage of you. Like I said, especially when it comes to money and reputation. On a more plus side, but again, I'm going to be expanding more in a separate video, but on the plus side, this can make you very brave. This is a really brave combination, so you can be really daring. And you might also be trusted with a lot of secrets with respect to your work. And which is not necessarily a bad thing, you know, just thought I would throw it in there. So pretty much this is the main idea. Like you could be seeing a lot of ups and downs with respect to career overall, not just your reputation. Because obviously career and your reputation kind of go hand in hand. So if one of them is down, most likely the other one is going to be down as well. But there's definitely this general energy of you don't really know what you expect with respect to career. So there could also be like job losses or sudden loss of income, sudden loss of business, you know. So yeah, that's what you can expect to see. And this again can also bring power struggles in the workplace, power struggles with superiors, with coworkers, and also with the father figure again. So it's similar to the 9th house influence because both the 9th and the 10th houses are kind of connected to the father figure, you know, and the relationship to the father figure. So there could be like problems because there are problems with the father figure. There could be problems with authority as well in general. So yeah, you could end up in arguments with with superiors. Freudian slip or something. With superiors, and because of that, that could lead to, you know, even losing your job or defamation or something like that, right? So that's pretty much it. When the Lord of the 8th house falls into the 11th house, this can actually show unexpected gains in the best case scenario, but again, I'm going to be focusing on mostly the negative impact in this video. So the negative impact here is that you could be seeing sudden losses with respect to your friends. Could be loss of friendships or a lot of ups and downs. So it could even be power struggles. That's another one. So you could see things like frenemy situations, you know, where a friend will turn into an enemy. And it can also show like power struggles with the siblings, especially older siblings. A lot of competition. You could also very specifically see accidents connected to the legs, especially the calves, however you want to pronounce them. But also with respect to your overall social status. And even with respect to how much money you're making directly from your career, there could be a lot of ups and downs. So there could be like ups and downs in reputation, similarly to the 10th house here. Because the 11th house basically shows your popularity and how people know you because it's your entourage at large, you know. And there could be like losses in reputation here as well. So defamation and becoming infamous within your circle, stuff like that, that wouldn't be unheard of. When the 8th house lord falls into the 12th house, this is a good placement for intuition. But again, I'm going to be focusing on the more positive aspects in a separate video, like I said. So with respect to the negative aspects, there could be financial losses connected to travel, connected to religion, connected to any kind of activity that involves a lot of solitude. 8th house lord in the 12th can also show loss of money with respect to, on account of religion. So it's something to take into account. Not just religion, but anything to do with faith, like, again, you might trust the wrong guru or the wrong yoga retreat, and you might end up losing money because of that, because they're scamming you. This placement can also show a lot of ups and downs and inconsistencies also with respect to the native's relationship to religion. So you could be constantly like questioning a religion, or you might find it hard to stick to any particular organized religion, again, unless there are other aspects in the horoscope that would really point otherwise. But otherwise, this placement can definitely show losses on account of religion, and also instability with respect to the belief system to a large extent. And very specifically, let's not forget that the 8th house is also connected to sexuality to some extent and transformation. And the 12th house is also the house of bed pleasures. So this could literally mean that, people might be getting into debt on account of, having certain sexual needs or something, like maybe paying money on escorts or whatever the heck it is. That could be a thing, all right? Or, keeping a mistress or a sugar baby or whatever. And yeah, that's mainly, I'm mainly talking about men, but even for women, I'm sure the same could apply. So yeah, you could be getting into debt, and you could get financial losses on account of your sexual habits, and also any kind of addictions you might have. So, like, for instance, you might have a tendency to escape reality and develop some kind of, like, addiction, like alcohol or substances, and that could drain your finances and get you in trouble with your family, but also especially the spouse's family. And also, the spouse's family could be coming from a foreign place, or they could have connection to foreign lands. Yeah. But this is as much as I can say with respect to like the more negative. Well, on a very negative, actually, with this one, you really have to be careful with things like, especially for the people who are Wicca enthusiasts, you need to be really careful here that you don't conjure the wrong thing. Like, don't get into metaphysical things that you don't understand, because this particular configuration might be making you especially susceptible to, possessions and stuff like that. And I know some people don't believe that they exist, but whatever, I have the right to remain silent. I'm just saying that stuff like that could happen. At least that's my opinion. And this is one of those placements where you really don't want to mess with this stuff, because you're the kind of person that has a pretty sensitive psyche. This is also a placement that makes a person, like I said, very intuitive. So a sensitive psyche also means that you're more likely to become imbalanced if you get into things like conjurings, or, getting too far into like metaphysical things like astral travel and all this nonsense. Don't do ayahuasca unless there are, at least don't do it until you get a proper in-depth astrological consultation where the astrologer, I was going to say therapist, the astrologer, sees whether it's a high risk for you to go crazy or not, right? So this is the kind of thing where you don't want to mess with stuff, like you have to be careful in maintaining your sanity. And you also want to be careful about things like sexually transmitted diseases to a large extent. So, yeah, this is pretty much what I can tell you about the more negative impacts. Last but not least, one thing that I will say is, so with the 12th house, the vulnerability is not just the psyche, so the conscious and the subconscious and the delicate balance of the mind. In other words, mental health. So that is a vulnerability, particularly. But then also the feet. The feet could be a problem, like with the 8th lord and the 12th, you could be prone to accidents involving your feet. So you have to be careful, especially again, if the 12th lord and the 8th lord and or the 8th lord, are somehow damaged, like the 8th lord is very debilitated, afflicted, then you would definitely see the more negative impacts. But yeah, this is pretty much what I can tell you, and I hope that you have enjoyed this video. And as usual, if you have, don't forget to like, subscribe, click on the notifications bell. If you want to see when I will post a new video, don't forget to comment in the comment section with any feedback you would like to give. And also, if you want to find out more about the membership options and everything they entail, I would suggest that you check the introductory part of the video and the timestamps in the video description where you can get more information. And last but not least, if you're interested in a private consultation, you can also email me at the email address that I will leave in the video description. And actually, further, last but not least, I also have a tarot channel, and I will be linking that in the video description as well. So if you're curious about tarot and you want to, check it out, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, maybe subscribe to my channel as well. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you at my next video.